resume recording. So what's the one thing that you guys think that you can rely on in 2021? So let's, as we're moving into 2021, just type this into the chat box and let's see what we get in the chat. What's the one thing that you feel that you can rely on basically going into 2021? Let's have a look at the chat. Yep, hi Shazar. Myself and my intuition, change. Change is a very good answer, Janice and Philip. More change, disruption, change, etc. Lots of change. Okay, so lots of people going like lots of change. Myself from Melanie. Okay, great. So I'm really with both of these answers. And I think you guys are a very, very enlightened audience. But for me, I think the only thing that you can truly rely on in 2021 is your inner knowing, so yourself. So I'm very on board with those people that said themselves, your inner knowing, your inner guidance system is probably going to be your most important asset for 2021. And because of that, that's literally what I'm going to talk about today, is some of the things that go on inside us that essentially allow us to feel one way or to feel another way, to either be resourceful, which then helps us grow and get everything we want, or become unresourceful, which then allows us to die and diminish. So I have 3 more questions for you, and these are not questions that you need to answer per se. You can pop them in the chat if you really want to, but these are questions for you to think about. Am I going to let COVID sabotage what I want in 2021? Because it can. You know, I was talking to somebody yesterday and I was just mentioning to a few people in the UK, they're very locked down. Again, this person that was saying to me, you know, a new strain of COVID is uncurable and it's come out in the southern UK. And I'm thinking, isn't this a China virus? Why is the new uncurable strain being released in the southern UK? So, you know, whether that's true or not, that leads me to the next question. Am I going to engage in the Washington circus? You know, we've got people on this call that hate Trump. We've got people on this call that love Trump. We've got people on this call that are so pissed by the lies in the media from all parts of media and the mistruths that have been shared by everybody, that it can easily absorb you if you're going to go into that space. You can literally be on television, on social media, and everything, listening to this all day, and whatever opinion you've got, whether it be the whole 360 degrees from, you know, I want things to go back as they were, or I want a total change to the world, whatever your 360-degree view is of that, you will find it in some description of some media, some commentator, some politician around the world at the moment. So are you going to engage in that? Or are you going to build your own vibrational level to start to maximize exactly what you want and what you hope for your life? And even as I'm saying this, I'm guessing that there are different realities going on. So actually, I'm going to go stop the share for a moment, go back to Mike. And what I'd love you to put in the chat at the moment is what, as you're listening to this, what are you actually thinking at the moment? What are you thinking? Just type it in the chat. I'd love to know what you're thinking just right now. Pop it in the chat. Let's see what we get. Okay, time to be bold. Thank you, Mike, for putting it so clearly. This is what I need. Okay, great. I need to be more active with my sales efforts. It's all up to me. Do it regardless and use it as an opportunity to do and be different. My best year ever. Hi, Ian, by the way.
Morning, Mike.
Morning. So we have some fantastic, but also, as you can see here, incredibly different. So let's take 3 of these. I'm busy doing this. There's another different one, a super year, another different one. So I'm going to take 3 of these just to illustrate what's going on in the world at the moment. So we've got Colin here who's saying, I'm busy doing this. Now, I take it what Colin means is he's busy trying to shift his vibrational level, but that's what he's saying. Then we've got Kate who says, do it regardless and use it as an opportunity to do and be different. That's entirely different to what Colin's doing. Neither are right or wrong, but it's entirely different. And then I've got Robert who says, I need to be more active with my sales efforts. That's like so different again. And then Debbie's going a year to surrender, which is sort of like totally juxtaposition to what some other people have said. So none of you are right and none of you are wrong. What I'm illustrating to you here by this is that we are different people thinking differently. And you know, I read something where there's more people going, there's more military going to be at the inauguration than is actually overseas at the moment, serving America overseas. Fascinating statistic. I can't tell you if it's right or wrong because I don't believe any of the commentators anymore, any of them. That's my reality at the moment. So therefore, I wanted to put this in front of you because we all have different opinions. And this isn't a political discussion. This is a discussion about you and what you are really going to be listening to at the moment this year. So with that, I'm going to sort of jump back into our presentation now, if I can find my screen share button after all of this time. Here it is. I'm going to jump back into my presentation. I'm going to take you through some ways in which you can understand and become a little bit more resourceful in the upcoming year. So here we go. Okay. So the first thing is about awareness. So here's the statement that I want you to think about. When you're consciously aware of your own thoughts, and most of us aren't consciously aware of our own thoughts, we're just thinking them. But when you're consciously aware of your own thoughts and you're deliberately offering those thoughts, then you are a deliberate creator of your own reality. So I'm going to give you an example of that. So I'm consciously aware of my own thoughts at present, mainly because I'm like Johnny on the spot here doing the presentation. So I need to be aware of my own thoughts, okay? And I'm deliberately offering them. So one of the things that I've deliberately offered here, and it's an imprint, sorry about that, you can take it or leave it, is I said to you before, I don't trust any media at the moment. I don't trust YouTube. I don't trust Facebook. I don't trust CNN. Definitely don't trust them. I don't trust Fox. I don't trust BBC. I don't trust any Al Jazeera. I don't trust any of the medias at the moment. So I am deliberately creating my own reality that I am untrustful of media. So am I aware of that? Absolutely. So is that making me more resourceful or less resourceful? You can choose that, but for me, it makes me more resourceful. And I'll tell you why, because I'm going, right, everything I knew and used to look at in the media where I sort of said, well, that story's not quite right, but now I know it's actually a pack of lies. I can actually discard all of that now. And I can say, okay, I'm a deliberate creator of my own reality. So whatever I focus on, whatever my thoughts are, if they're in my consciousness and I'm consciously aware of them, then I'm bringing them into fruition. So my first point here is really, how aware are you? So maybe if you just want to, maybe just make a note on a piece of paper, give yourself a rating 6 out of 10 on awareness of what you're allowing to creep into your mind over the last week or so, okay? So that would be a good place to start. Then with that, let's move on. I want to share with you this emotional sort of guidance system here. So here's you or me in the middle, and we're either moving to alignment with source or away, in other words, misalignment with source. So what does that mean? So source energy, if we can assume that it's heaven, nirvana, the greater consciousness, whatever you want to call this thing, depending on whatever your faith is and whatever you like to call the greater good, the place we're all going, the good place, our alignment with that source energy is probably on a scale of 1 to 10. 1 being on, in this case, on the right-hand side, and 10 being on the left-hand side. Now, when we're in alignment with this, we are in harmony. So when we're in harmony, we tend to thrive. So when we thrive, things come to us easily. Wow, I didn't expect to get that deal. Wow, some client just rang me out of the blue. Oh, you know, my wife or husband just bought me an amazing present that I've been waiting for years and never thought I'd have. You know, that tends to be thriving. My health is better. I feel fitter than I ever have. You know, I may be 65 years old, but I've never felt better. And then that tends to send us into the highest human emotion, which is not love. Love is the second highest human emotion, but this tends to send us into joy. So the more we can emotionally guide our whole system to be in alignment with the greater good, with source energy, with heaven, nirvana, call it what you like, the more we are going to experience true joy and harmony, and the more we're going to thrive. So if you decide to align, then you're probably going to have a great 2021. And I can tell you, within our Circle of Excellence group, there wasn't too many people that had a bad 2020, because most of you are fairly aligned. Then, if you're misalignment, instead of harmony, it goes to bondage. You feel almost strapped, right? And then that becomes a struggle because, of course, you're struggling to get out of your bonds. And then, of course, you're totally disempowered because you're bonded up. So you're at the beck and call of whatever the next thing is. Okay, whether it be there's a riot on the Capitol, they've closed down Melbourne, Australia again because of some COVID outbreak. You know, they've decided now that nobody's allowed to go to and buy alcohol again in South Africa because it works better that way. Whatever the thing is, you will allow that to disempower you. Now, here's the funny thing about this when you're trying to bring visioning into this, and most of you probably have some degree of meditation or visioning, but it's possibly not strong enough for many people. You can't go and desire a new car while you're focusing on how much your old one sucks, and that's why you want a new car. So you can't sit there and go, my car's crap. I really want a new car. Gee, I'm going to focus on getting myself the latest Mercedes Benz, and you know, it's got to have air conditioning in the boot to keep my stuff cool as I take it around the world. You can't do that and focus on, oh, but every time I get in this car, it pisses me off and it's a piece of junk. The minute you do that, your emotional guidance system misaligns you and you go into struggle. That should be snuggle, not struggle, shruggle. It's now struggle. I've coined a new word. So you go into struggle. And when you're in that, it becomes difficult to break free because you will naturally gravitate to people who are also in that part of struggle. You know, have you ever been at a time in your life where you are not feeling really good about yourself and feeling down, and you go to a meeting and everybody there is pumped? Everybody's like happy, clappy, pumped, on top of the world, and it just makes you feel worse about where you are. It doesn't help you. It doesn't help you build. It doesn't help you say, I want to be like them. You feel worse. You feel worse because the gap is too far. And so therefore, what we tend to do is we tend to we don't even notice it. It's like putting on weight. When we put on weight, we don't wake up one morning and we're suddenly fat. It just seems, we go, I didn't realize I've now got 10 kilos or more on me than I had a month ago or 2 months ago. I never saw that coming on. This works exactly the same. And the key here is how you feel emotionally about this. So when you have this emotional feelings, you have to judge in the moment, is this emotion serving my greater good, or is it not serving my greater good? So is it making me more resourceful, or is it making me less resourceful? So let's move on. Your life is a reflection of your dominant thoughts. So whether you love or hate Joe Biden, Whether you're in Germany, and I know we've got Laura on the call, and you love or hate Andrea Merkel, so I'm using another politician because Trump and Biden are so obvious at the moment. Whether you can't stand COVID and it's driving you insane to wear all these masks and sanitize your hands and everything, whether your neighbor is yelling over the fence because he's grumpy at you, or whether you're constantly looking at your competition lining up against you and trying to be better at them, your life is actually a reflection of this. So you are calling this into your creation every single day. So whether you're going, oh, I wish I had a little bit more money, or my bank account's going down, you're just calling more of this into creation. So there are ways of getting around this, and we're going to get in those soon, but you have to discount all of this. 2021, where I started, because we've got some new people joining our call at the moment, so I'm going to go right back to 2021, my first question. What can you trust and who can you trust in 2021? The answer is only you. Only you. You can only trust you about how you feel. You can't trust me. You can't trust Lundy. We'll help you to the best we can, but it's how you feel that you can trust, because your life is a reflection of your dominant thoughts. So let's have a look at how to control some of these negative thoughts that you or I may be having. So if you become aware, and awareness and presence is one of the greatest gifts. That's a presence is a gift, right? So presence is one of the greatest gifts that we can have at this time in history. To be present with ourselves, not what is going on in the world. That is just white noise. Everything that's going on in the world is just white noise, because wherever you live in the world at the moment, chances are, if you're happy, you can go visit one of your 4 neighbors that are around you, and one of them is going to be deeply unhappy. It's just yin and yang. Chances are, if you're deeply unhappy, you'll go next door and they're really happy. It's yin and yang. So there is just white noise in the world. Everything will come to balance, but you need to control negative thoughts, as do I. So here's how we're going to do it. Firstly, we want to explore the underlying basis of the thought. So, a negative thought would be something like, can I even trust my clients anymore? And then you go, well, actually, what's the underlying basis of that thought? You go, actually, the underlying basis is that I can't trust CNN anymore. Oh, that's got nothing to do with my clients. So then you might ask yourself a second question. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it really that my clients are untrustworthy? And you might say, well, actually, it's only about a 3 out of 10. Yeah, most of my clients are quite trustworthy. I'm sure there's the occasional one that are untrustworthy. So maybe a 2 or 3 out of 10. So what are 3 more positive outcomes from this situation? Well, the first positive outcome I can think of is that 8 out of 10 of my clients are actually really trustworthy. So that's positive. So therefore here's the second positive thing. I need to find a better way of canvassing my clients so that I can ascertain more of their trustworthiness, so that I can bring my ratio from 3 out of 10 untrustworthy clients to 1 out of 10. That would be really good. And then another positive outcome could be that I may find ways to develop products so that those untrustworthy clients need less of my one-on-one time, so that they're not constantly disappointing me by their lack of doing stuff or whatever you want them to do. So there's 3 positive outcomes. And then what you would do is then choose your emotional set point. So your emotional set point might be, I accept that in a given year, say 2 out of 10 clients are going to be a little bit untrustworthy, but it's not a deal breaker for me. I'm just going to deal with it by doing this, this, and this. That's my emotional set point. So those of you that know me reasonably well know that I really enjoy property investment. And because of that, I watch a lot of property television. I read a lot of property books. I look at a lot of property. So, you know, it's one of our ways. Landy and I create money through business and secure it through property. That's been our strategy for a long time. So when I look at property and I study people who, and you've only got to go to HGTV and watch some of the property shows and look at their reactions when they discover that they're renovating a property that suddenly there's a huge problem with, like the whole foundation needs to be replaced or the whole roof needs to be replaced. So you or I, chances are you or I go into that property for the first time. We bought it for X amount of dollars and now we're actually going to renovate the property. And suddenly we uncover this problem and we go, oh no, this is going to cost like $25,000 more. So we suddenly go into negativity. How am I going to find that money? What else is it going to cost me? Or what other things don't I know, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So here's the thing. On a scale of 1 to 10, how likely is it really that I'm going to have other problems apart from this one? The answer probably pretty low, maybe a 4. If it's a really old house, maybe a 5 or 6. What are 3 positive outcomes that can come from this? Well, I'm going to have a more solid house. I can create more beauty here. I can fix up maybe 2 or 3 other problems whilst I'm doing this. I can add more value, et cetera, et cetera. So now I can turn this problem into an opportunity. So this leads me to something that you may want to write down, folks. And that is something that was my mantra for probably 20 years that I used to write in the front of my diaries. And yes, I still keep a manual diary. It's one of the last things I do in the year is go and buy the diary for the new year. I don't write this in anymore, but it really helped. How can I turn this problem into an opportunity? I'd write that in the front of my diary. And every time I had a problem, I'd look at it and say, okay, how can I turn this problem into an opportunity? Somebody resigns and leaves you in the lurch. Somebody cancels what they're doing with you and your cash flow's gone. Somebody causes you a problem. Somebody complains about you, whatever it is, right? That we all go through in business. There's a lawsuit, there's an accountancy problem, there's a tax issue, there's a this. How can I turn that into an opportunity? That's when you set your emotional set point at that point of time. So you may want to take a screenshot of this page just before I move through to what I think is the final slide we've got here. And then we're going to get into some Q&A and we're going to throw this around. Oops, so back to your screenshot. Here comes your screenshot. Click and out. So here's some guidelines for you. Guidelines in order for you to live a much more prosperous life in a time in history which is really, really uncertain. You know, we are in the midst of the Third World War. Now, I won't say it's as brutal for us as being, you know, Jewish and living in Poland or, you know, Austria or Germany in 1941, but we are in the Third World War at the moment. So we need to focus on joy. We need to focus on resourcefulness, or else we're not going to create a great 2021 for us. So your happiness depends only on one thing. That is your own vibration and not anybody else's stuff. So it doesn't matter what your mother thinks. It doesn't matter what your partner thinks. It doesn't matter what your kids think. Your happiness depends only on your own self-vibration. So you have to find ways to reset your emotional set point so you're at one with the world. So you become resourceful. So you can turn an unresourceful situation into a resourceful situation. Secondly, the illusion of limited resources. It is an illusion. All resources are infinite. Ask Elon Musk. I'm not a big fan of Elon Musk necessarily, but I can tell you this. He's now reported at his net worth is $202 billion. He's now the wealthiest person in the world. He made $74 billion in 2020. So don't tell me there's no money around. Okay, there's plenty of money around. There's plenty of people around. I mean, people are losing their jobs. They're losing their businesses. So there's really bright, smart resources out there that you can attract into what you're doing at the moment if you can sell them on your vision and if you are in harmony and in joy, because nobody wants to work for anybody who's not in joy. Nobody wants to work for anybody who's unresourceful. There are partners around. There are people looking for opportunities. There are people looking for coaching. There are people looking for well-being. There are people looking to be more fit. Everything is infinite. Nothing is closed down. And this is the problem, I think, for most of us, is in this third thing here, is we sort of see everything in life as a kitchen, and we have problems with the mushrooms, and we have problems with garlic because we don't like garlic. Oh, let alone a carb. We don't let carbs in our kitchen. You know, if you're a chef just chooses ingredients and ignores others to make the perfect dish. They don't look at the garlic and go, I hate garlic, garlic sucks. They look at garlic and go, garlic isn't going to work putting it in this chocolate cake. It's just not going to work, so I'm not going to put it in. They don't have a feeling about garlic. They just choose ingredients. Yet we seem to be so damn passionate about half the things in the world that have nothing to do with us, including what other people think of us. What other people think of you is none of your business. It doesn't matter. I don't care whether you love me or hate me. I'm just trying to help you. And if you don't love me, I probably won't help you too much, but I don't care. So you should get disassociated with what people think of you, what media thinks of you, what people are saying. You should get disassociated with what everything is. All the opinions of the world don't mean anything. You know, somebody said to me years ago, and I'll give you the polite version, opinions are like butts. Everybody has one. So the fourth thing here is the more you can sit in appreciation, not only of others, but of yourself, of what you have, not what you don't have, but what you have. You know, whether it be your favorite comfy chair, whether it be the love of your life, whether it be an amazing friend, whatever it is that you have, be in appreciation of that. All of that, and being in appreciation of others, just as I appreciate you and you appreciate us. And, you know, thank you so many of you for the lovely messages that you gave Lundy and I over the Christmas break as well of appreciation. It's lovely for us to hear, but actually it's fantastic for you because it moves you closer to that source energy as well. And the closer that you can get to that source energy, the stronger it is that you're going to have joy in your life and success in 2021. I just want to finish up with a simple quote, and then we're going to get into some Q&A. The basis of life is freedom, and the result of life is expansion. And most of our problems that for us at the moment is we're being challenged on our basis of life, which is freedom. Freedom to express, freedom to travel, freedom to run our businesses the way we want to run them, etc. So that is the basis of life. So our freedom is being challenged. So the fundamental basis of life is being challenged at 2021, and that's our challenge. The result of life is expansion, expansion of your soul. So if your basic right of freedom is being challenged and you focus on that and move to being unresourceful rather than being resourceful, that way you're moving to being restricted and in bondage rather than moving to being in harmony with life, then it's not going to be a great year for you. So you have to be aware of what's going on in the world, but awareness is one thing, being present with it is one thing, but not taking it on board is the other. And to focus truly and heartfelt on what gives you joy, on what you love to do, on appreciation for what you have, and on having great people around you that are going to lift you up in these times as well. With that, I'm going to stop the share now, and I'm going to go into any questions that you've got. And if you want to unmute or anything like that, that will be great. I might stop the recording for this, and so we'll pick it up from there. So bye everybody on the recording.